Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. I am Nobodium, and this is more of me reading Markiplier from North Korea. Today we're on chapter 12. Last chapter they went to Korea, well, last two chapters. They went to Korea, visit their family because Cliff was in San Francisco, and then she got her RNL, her registered nurse license. And today we're going to be reading chapter 12, Early Teen Years of Markiplier. When Markiplier was 6 years old and Thomas was 8 years old, to celebrate the 4th of July with my sister Song-hee, who was visiting me from Korea, we visited a nearby amusement park called Kings Island. After entering the park, as soon as my boys saw a roller coaster, they ran as fast as they could to the back of the line. They soon found, unfortunately, the management had posted a sign saying that young children must be as tall as a sign to be eligible to ride the coasters. Mark was rejected since he did not meet the height requirements. Mark has never been so disappointed in his young life. Not wanting to repeat of Markiplier's early rejection due to the height requirements, I decided to take them to a more age-appropriate area of the park that was designed specifically for younger children. The park was heavily crowded with people who showed up to celebrate 4th of July and watch the fireworks that took place later that night. Before we realized it, the night sky was being lit by sparkling fireworks, punctuated by loud explosions as the fireworks were detonated. My sister and I were totally engrossed in the gorgeous display that lit up the dark sky. As I briefly looked down to see my boy's reaction to the fireworks, I only saw Thomas next to me. We started to panic and frantically started searching for Mark as we went running in every direction looking for him. My trembling voice kept calling out Mark's name, and I became more and more anxious when I did not hear his response. I felt that I was in a terrible nightmare. The picture. My sister Sung-hee Mark, 6, and Thomas 8. 1995. Suddenly, I saw a security man with a uniform standing nearby, running as fast as I could to meet up with the security guard. I asked him how he could help me find Mark. Upon hearing my urgent request, he pointed out the direction of a nearby building where I could reunite with Mark. The security man told me that a few minutes earlier he had seen Mark. Mark had appeared unconcerned when he approached security as he calmly explained, "My mom lost me, but if you could take me to the lost and found place, eventually Mom would come there to pick me up." I hastily ran to the building called Lost and Found, where the security personnel looked at me with a kind smile and then started chuckling. I was able to find my son safely at the Lost and Found that night. I was clueless about how Mark knew about the Lost and Found, but during this Markiplier moment, I was very proud of my 6-year-old Mark ability to think so calmly and quickly in very difficult situations. Here's some more pictures of young Markiplier. I guess it's not Markiplier, it's a young Mark Fishbach. Hey. One day, as I was cooking, Mark and Thomas were chasing each other in our living room. Eventually, Mark tripped over a small poodle, Heidi, falling flat on his face. Even though he was the one who had taken a bad fall, he quickly got himself up and immediately turned toward Heidi, asking her if she was all right, while he was gently patting her head. When Mark was 8 years old, his teacher decided to cast him as one of the lead characters in a class play. As I watched his play, I was at a loss for words. I was so proud of him as he appeared composed and confident in his mannerisms. Also, I was beaming as he delivered all his long lines in front of the audience without making any mistakes. As Mark's mother, I had always felt that he was a rising star. His performances in class play further cemented Mark's trajectory as a rising star in the mind of his proud mother. Losing myself in thought, I quietly filled Mark's acting ability toward away as another one of his accomplishments. Then when Mark was 11 years old, he was playing at the playground with Thomas near my apartment. While playing on the monkey bars, Mark fell and broke his ulna, which is his forearm, on the right side. Without any hesitation, Mark attempted to rest his broken bone in its correct position by pulling on his hand and resetting it all by himself. Later, I asked Mark where he had learned how to reset his arm, and he casually answered that he had seen it on TV. When you arrived at the hospital, the doctor confirmed my son's statements by showing me Mark's x-ray. The doctor was tremendously impressed by Mark's brave action. Fortunately, however, the x-ray revealed that Mark had misaligned the wrist and ulna when he pulled his hand, and the doctor had to break Mark's ulna to quickly realign the bones. Jesus. Before I knew it, my boys had turned into teenagers. Thomas was 17 years old and would be driving to school and prom with a date. Mark was 15 and did not have a girlfriend yet, but he decided to go to the prom with his buddies anyways. I picked up Mark after midnight when the prom was over. Clearly, I could see that Mark had a great time. He could not hide the twinkle in his eye and a wide grin from me as he excitedly told me about his prom night. Since he did not have a date to dance with, Mark was standing in the corner with his best buddies, Tyler, Bob, and Wade. Oh, long-time friends. Unexpectedly, a beautiful girl walked toward them and asked Mark if she could have the next dance with him. Mark eagerly accepted, and they danced the entire night together. The icing on the cake was that after the dance was over, the prettiest girl at the prom gave Mark the sweetest kiss he had ever felt. I think he said that because he had never been kissed by a girl before. When Mark was 17, he tried to cook a dinner of home fried chicken for everybody while I was still at work. Later I learned, to my dismay, that he had used an old hospital thermometer to measure the temperature of a boiling hot oil. The old thermometer broke immediately, and Mark, not knowing what to do, ran to the sink and turned on the cold water to run into the pan full of boiling oil. Mark burned his arm so terribly that Thomas drove him to the emergency room. On a scale of 1 to 4, Mark had a third-degree burn, and the doctor informed Mark that Mark might end up with an ugly scar later. After 1 week on the burn floor at a UC hospital, Mark was discharged with bandages from the top of his arms down to his hands. We changed the dressing very carefully every few hours. I felt really sorry that Mark might end up in deep and ugly scars for the rest of his life. We were elated when miraculously 1 month later, not only had his arm completely healed, but there was no evidence of ugly scarring. Another Markiplier moment. And there's a picture of Mark with a well, I wouldn't say a cowboy hat. It looks more like I really don't know, but there's a picture for y'all. But yeah, I think I've been reading for so long since I've been going back to back with these videos that I'm like losing train of thought. But yeah, that's gonna be all for this video. If you like this video, bomb that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe to the next one. Alright, hope you have a fantastic day, and bye bye!